All right, so I wanted to play this one because you guys have already heard this track, and I'll break it down just a little bit further for you to understand more about the audio painting. Now, this track is not 100% complete, and it's actually not publicly released yet, so you can be on the lookout. Again, I released those beat tapes, so you guys can just keep checking Beat Tapes by Gratuitous and see if I've released No Burdens. This one probably will be on my volume 10. And so this is how this track works, okay? So again, it's pretty much complete, and I wanted you to just hear it because you've already heard this track. Let's play it. Okay, so you can see that the drum loop is all chopped up. We have a reverse clap and a forward clap. Same with reverse cymbal, forward cymbal. You can see I removed the kick drum here for a type of transition to spice up the chorus. Now you can see right here, I also just use that same reverse cymbal, reverse clap, and what I would do is just highlight, hold on shift, click, and bring it over. Okay, so listen to that transition, okay? And then here, I have another clap for a transition. So I just took the same clap and I just made it fast. We have a reverse cymbal. That was the transition to bring in the piano and the clap. Okay, so you can see that the clap wasn't playing before. Okay, so again, these are just the little things that you can be doing to prepare your listener. That's what it's all about, you know. So in order to add in this piano, I used a reverse cymbal and a forward cymbal. That's a very, very classic sound. Okay, so in the very first video of this section, I told you that you could be using like a reverse cymbal, a snare roll or tom roll. Silence is super powerful. But you can see right here that this is a reverse and forward cymbal, and I'll show you how to do that. So if you want so to have a cymbal in your sounds, let's just go to cymbals. So for example, let's just say we take like this one right here. So you just take it, you drag it in, okay? There are multiple clips that use the drop file. Okay, so maybe I already used that sound. That's amazing if I already used that. Let's see. I already used that sound. Okay, I'm just gonna use another sound. I've never actually had that pop up here. Okay, so here is the forward cymbal, and let's just color it different. So double click, and I'm just hitting F2. So we'll give it a green color, okay? So usually when it comes to a cymbal, you got to be careful. A cymbal is very, very loud, okay? So to start off, let's just normalize it so it's nice and easy to see. But let's just listen to it I'll turn it down first. Okay, so this cymbal isn't too aggressive. It's more of like in like the lower high frequencies. Okay, so what you want to do is you hold on shift and click, and that will duplicate. So this is the same sound, but what you can do is you can right click and go make unique. Okay, and so now you can see it has number 2. And if I just hit enter, and that's going to make my playlist small. Again, this is the workflow I always try to tell you guys. I like this workflow because it's so fast. And so you can see that we have cymbal 18 here. Okay, and then we also have cymbal 18 number 2. And again, look in the top left. So cymbal 18 and cymbal 18 number 2. And so this one right here, you can either double click on it or you can just click it and you just go reverse, and that's it. So now when you want to line it up, you can come up here and you can go to none. But for me personally, I just hold on Alt, look down here in my shortcuts, hold on Alt, and you can just kind of break free from the snap. If you don't hold on Alt, because I am in Beat, you can see how hard it is, right? You're not going to get it lined up. So I'm just going to hold down Control and right click to zoom in there, just like this, okay? And let's just make it big now, because I'm not going to fine tune it. Like for example, you can fine tune your reverse cymbal if you wanted to. Like for example, if you don't want it as long, you can just increase the trim. And for example, if you increase like the in, you can see that it kind of shortens it up a little bit if you don't want it as long. So you can do that stuff, but I'm just going to leave everything as is, okay? Okay, so let's make And again, that was just to reverse it. So we cloned it, right? We went right click, and you have to have a paid version of FL Studio to be able to use make unique. And so let's make it big now. And yeah, I just hold on Alt and I fine tune it just like this. And sometimes if the symbol is a little bit weird like that, sometimes I will bring it like this. So for example, sometimes I make sure like to count even, because sometimes it lines it up better. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let's go 4. Okay, so same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll bring that over, and now let's just listen to that symbol, because this is a really powerful trick. Okay, now when it comes to this reverse and forward symbol, sometimes you might want to turn like the reverse symbol down in volume a little bit. So let's just go like reverse, and we will go forward. Okay, just to make it really good for education purposes. Okay, so sometimes the reverse, you can turn it down just a little bit if you would want. Typically the forward symbol is like this is the original crash. It's like the, right? So many times you want that to be a little bit louder, but this type of symbol isn't very energetic. It's more of like a different kind of symbol. Whereas something like this, you can hear it's just a little bit brighter. So just a little bit brighter, a little bit more energetic. Whereas something like these ones, but let's just listen to it just because, you know, we already put in the work. Okay, so you can hear that it kind of sounded a little bit weird when it hit. So anyways, you'd have to fine tune how you want your cut to happen. But once you get it right, and again, that's all I did here. All right. And again, if you select the right symbol, it just sounds a lot better. So listen to my before and or like my reverse and forward. This was the original symbol from this track. Okay, and again, we'll listen to the whole track right here. So the cymbals are actually a little bit quiet. I can maybe turn them up a little bit, but again, this track isn't completed. The next one I want to show you is, again, this is the clap. So typically when I'm working with the clap, I will go like to like a step, and the reason is because we can fine tune to make that clap more in time. Now you might be looking here and be like, oh, well, this clap isn't on beat, right? But the reason is because of the actual clap itself. So I'll hit F6. Let's listen to it. So I guess I figured that the clap actually kind of began here, and there was kind of like some noise before it. And I just did that. So for example, let's get a clap here. So that's actually a good example. So I'll drag it in here. Okay, so again, same thing. You know, if I wanted to, I could bring it back a little bit, but let's just leave it where it is, and we'll do this. And so again, same thing. Actually, it looks like these are two. Actually, it might be the same clap. I'll let you know. So I hit F6. We're going to click on this clap. So F6. This is clap 18. This one here is clap 18 as well. Okay, so yeah, usually what I do personally is I usually like to have the same reverse symbol, forward symbol, or the same reverse clap, forward clap, if that makes sense. And then again, same thing. Just like we did for the symbol, you hold on Shift and click. You can duplicate it. You're going to come here. You're going to go make unique. We're going to double click that. We are going to go reverse, and we can bring it over. Okay, so right now it's just, I guess, a really long clap, and that's where you can use like the trim. And let's just find it. Okay, there it is. And I'll just double click here and I'll go trim as well, just to make them the same. Okay, so here we have two claps. And so what you want to do when it comes to the clap, because they're a little more aggressive than the symbol, let's just listen to that. So okay, so what I did usually is this. Let's just listen to what I did. Lots of reverb, right? So let me just show you how to do that. So I'm going to hit enter. That puts the playlist back up here. Use my middle scroll wheel to get like the hand if you want to fine tune, just like you see there. And so I'm on insert 25, but let's just put it to our own. Okay, so you can see that on 25 I had some reverb. EQ and compression. And so EQ might have just been to fine tune the clap. Reverb is for the length of sound, and then compression is just to help the clap and the reverb maybe be a little bit more audible together. And so I'll just take both of these. We're going to come here, go Control L, that's the keyboard shortcut, and we're just going to add maybe reverb directly on. So I'll go reverb, the fruity reverb, which is a super powerful reverb. And so now both the forward and reverse clap have reverb, which we can increase it. Okay, and so that is how you do like the reverse and forward clap. Okay, and you can fine tune, you know, you have pre-delay and however you want to fine tune it, right? You have your EQ, you have your compression. So when I used compression, again, it was just maybe to fine tune that. Let's just look at how it works. So we had compression going on. That's a lot of compression, right? So watch if I turn it off. So this clap is quite aggressive, whereas I really sucked back the original clap and it just allowed just the reverb to happen. So listen to it one more time. So this clap is a lot louder. You can hear that here's some reverb now. Okay, so I took him, put him to a mixer insert, added some reverb on, and you can fine tune how you want that, right? So let's listen to my new claps with the song, and we will mute the cymbals. And let's just hear how it sounds. Now, this is where you'd have to fine tune it, okay? So again, the whole song is going to play, but the claps that we have added in are now going to play. Let's just hear. So again, that does sound off, right? So that's probably why I brought it over like that. And it's just loud. And that's probably the reason why I compressed it so hard, is because the actual clap was really aggressive to the cymbal. So and however long you make that reverb, you just got to remember that the tail is going into the chorus. Sometimes it could be really powerful to have a tail that overlaps. Okay, so again, I was just showing you how to do those things like you see here. So I did a reverse cymbal, I did a reverse clap. Now you know how to do those, right? They're not hard. You just got to fine tune and line them up. Here is, this is all I did for this clap. Right, and like I said, when it comes to your transition, you can do anything. It can, like, you know, like you heard in the other song, I had those toms and like a reverse tom or whatever. You just want to have some type of transition because it lets the listener know that, okay, things are happening, things are changing. So you can see that this part of the song, the clap was not playing and the piano was not playing. Okay, so I used the reverse cymbal and this build-up clap to bring in the normal clap and to bring in the piano. And then again, I used another reverse and forward cymbal with a kick drum. So let's make this big because it's a little easier to see. So you can see that I used the kick drum and I just chopped it up. So what's happening is I'm looped somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to double click and we're back. Okay. Now when it came to lining up these kick drums, so for example, you can see that actually this one probably worked. So sometimes, like, you know, if you are on beat, you know, you won't be able to do that because you don't have the lines. So if you're going to want to fine tune and chop up, that's where you're going to have to change your playlist, you know, snap your steps, right? But like I said, usually I like to be in beat or bar. But yeah, I just chopped it up and that allowed the transition. And then I'm just working kind of on this cymbal part. It kind of works. I just want to fine tune it a little bit. But you can see that this bagpipe, which is the main lead, this is not coming in yet. Okay, so let me just break down kind of how the song works. So we have the electric piano. It sounds like this. There's tons and tons of reverb. So I did sidechain compression and it pumps with it. Okay, we also have a clap, we have some hi-hats. Now the bagpipe, this is the main lead of the song. Okay, we have a piano, it's a nice filler. And then we have the bass line. and it also has a little bit of distortion going on. And as you can see on the bass, you can see distortion. So when it comes to bass, distortion is quite important because it allows this bass instrument to stand out a little bit better on smaller speakers. And that's something that you'll learn as you go. And then here are these kind of weird cymbals. I tried to make a melody. As you can see, I did cymbal melody, and I tried to just kind of spice it up. Right, and then with the kick. All right, so here we go. I'll just play a little bit more of this track. But one last thing I want to look at before we wrap up this video about audio painting is some filters. Okay, so you can also be using filters to break down the song. But let's just listen to how the kick drum kind of builds up and it prepares the listener. And then we come into the chorus with the full cymbals and everything that's going on. Okay, so here we are from around here. As you can see, I must have just added one little cymbal in for some type of audio painting. So you don't always have to use audio painting, but it's just, you always want to think that way. Okay, so let's just maybe play it from here. So I remove the kick drum, and then it prepares into kind of a breakdown of the song, but then it builds up into like the big chorus. All right, so that is this track. Again, removing the kick drum. Okay, so let's quickly look at this filter section and then we will wrap up this video, okay? So check this out. So let's just quickly look at that to see how I did that. So we have the electric piano and we come here and it is filter. So I actually labeled it that because it makes it easy. And if we click that, you can see that this is what I did. So I just kind of moved it around like this. And here's a cool little trick. So whenever you are creating an automation clip, it is called an internal controller, and it's really important that you understand what an internal controller is inside of FL Studio, because you can use it to automate multiple things, multiple knobs. And so here, let's just go like a filter course, just so we can really visually see it, okay? So you can see that this automation clip is already available to us as an internal controller because we've created it. So we can see it visually, but it's also an internal controller, okay? So check this out. What I did here, and I'll just mute this, and I'll bring this one back up. So let's just listen to it again, because you will be able to see in the regular filter, so this is it from the song, okay? You can see that, how am I doing a low cut and a high cut filter at the same time? Okay, you can see it's kind of cutting it out, right? But watch, if I turn it off, this is what it sounds like, but with it. Okay, and it's kind of like that little telephone kind of effect, okay? Now, if we click on one of these, you can see that I am just adjusting the filter. So I have a high cut filter, and I just right clicked, and then I went link to controller, okay? Because I already created the automation clip. And as you can see right here, we have an internal controller, okay? So I'll break it down because it might be a little confusing. So an internal controller is an automation clip, for example. So if you create an automation clip, you can create another band like this. Like, let's say we want this one to follow this automation clip. Watch, I'm gonna go link to controller. We're gonna click here, and we're gonna go filter band 1 frequency. Okay, which is this one right here. You can see it's filter, electric piano, band 1 frequency. And you have to remove conflicts. You want it disabled so that you can use multiple things with this controller. And let's just hear how it sounds, okay? Okay, so it's still following that same thing with what's going on. Okay, so let's just disable that. And so, for example, let's come here to our own, okay? And what you do is you just, again, I like to create the automation clip within that area. So I'm going to do something like, let's just do it nice and short. So this is the highlighted area. And if I come to the automation clip, or sorry, my EQ, and we want to create an automation clip, I'm going to right click and go create automation clip. And now this, watch, if we right click and go link to controller, you can see that this is filter coarse, electric piano, band 1 frequency. Okay, if that makes sense. So we are on filter coarse EQ. It's on the electric piano and as well as the band 1 frequency. Okay, so now we can adjust anything in here, and let's just double click this. And this is like the new window in FL Studio if you want to adjust your automation clip. It's quite powerful. I'm just going to do it the old school way. And I'm just going to double click though and change that color just so we can see it a little bit different. Let's maybe give it like a purple. Okay, just so we can see it nice and visual. And so now what's happening, let me make the playlist smaller because now we can kind of see two windows, okay? And so what I want to do is, let's say we're going to do this, okay? So when we play the song, the electric piano, let's make it like this. The electric piano is going to go up and then down, okay? But what I did was I created a high cut filter as well. So we have a low cut and we have a high cut filter. And so what I did is, instead of creating another automation clip for that one, and then now you have two automation clips where you're trying to adjust them to go back and forth like you saw with this one, right? So we go back to this one. And let's remove this band. And so you can see it's going up and down together. Okay. And so what I did to do that is we linked both of them to the same automation clip, and you just right click, link to controller, because it's an internal controller. An automation clip is an internal controller. Now I'm going to select that filter course, which is the one that we created together, and we'll select that. We also want to make sure remove conflict is not enabled so that we can do this. You know, in other words, two things can use that same controller, okay? And we're just going to go accept, and let's hit play and see what it does. So it goes up and it comes back down, okay? So that's because we have it set up like this. So anything we do here, we are going to adjust that. Now, the reason we're not seeing audio is because where it's not on. We also have the auto gain. So that's a really powerful feature of Pro Q3, that whenever you cut or boost frequencies, it compensates in volume. So let's just turn that off to make it like a real EQ, or just a normal EQ. Okay, and so if you want to go to the other band, I guess you can click right here, and let's say we want to make it like a gentler slope, make it not as aggressive, you can do that. And again, if you want to do this for any EQ, it's the exact same process. And if you are using a third-party plugin and you can't access the knob, you can click here, you can move the knob, you can see that now it saw it, so you can right click up here and you can do the link to controller, or the last knob that you tweaked. If you move a knob, again, you can come up here and you go last tweaked, and that's how you can access your create automation clip and link to controller as well if you're using third-party plugins. But typically, if you're using like a VST3 plugin, sometimes you can click it and it's like a native plugin, if that makes sense. So for example, if you had a Fruity Parametric EQ2. So this is a native plugin, so you can always right click and access things, right? And watch, even if we wanted to do the same thing here. So if we come to here, so I'm going to right click down here. Okay, so that if you want to do the same thing on this EQ, you got to do it down here. And I'm going to right click, go link to controller. And again, let's say we want that filter course. This is how easy it is, right? And so once you understand how things work, there you go. And watch, even if you want to put the one, so I'm making them opposite. So if we come here, we go type, and they call it a low pass, I believe. So we got to bring that back, okay? And so watch, now we can come here, go link to controller. We will go filter course, and now we'll get the same effect. You can adjust, like, if you want it more steep, on any of them or whatever. You can also adjust how steep they are by doing it right here, or you can right click on it and you can adjust the steepness. And again, you can right click if you want to kind of play around with the steepness without the window closing, right? So if you want it more gentle or whatever. So I just wanted to show you how to do just different things when it comes to automation clips. Very, very powerful to use automation clips because they are a type of audio painting, right? It's a type of transition, but they're kind of like a slower transition. They kind of break down the song. If we come back to the way how I originally had it with this one, right? Just gently kind of messes with this piano, makes it more telephony. And then it's going to come into the kick drums. And then we're back into it. Yeah, so again, and then as you can see here, even though this piano is playing, or so like for example, like you might think that the sound is being EQ'd, but it's actually not, because you can see that the mix knob right here. So you can see I automated the mix knob to full when it's going on, and then I turned off the mix knob. So in other words, that even though that the audio is playing through this EQ, we are not hearing it. And the reason is because the mix knob is off. And that's a really powerful way to turn on and off effects in FL Studio. So anyways, there you guys go. That is just a breakdown of audio painting. We use two different tracks of mine. And, so there's reverse cymbals, forward cymbals, same with reverse clap, forward clap. You can use fast kick drums. You can use snare rolls, tom rolls. You can use filters. You can use silence. You can use whatever. But typically, you always want to be thinking this way to prepare the listener before a change happens. And I promise you, you will be making way better music. And again, if you guys would like to check out the beats that you listen to, just search them into Google. Beat Tapes by Gratuitous, and then search for the song name, and it should come up for you, okay? So I'll talk to you in the next one.